The problem with it is as soon as you get into like the Facebook marketplace buying stuff, it's like that's where I started, and then it's an addiction, and then you're buying everything under the sun. You're buying so much more stuff.
All right, welcome to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. And today we have a guest on our show, Kyle, aka the Dirt King. That's what his buddy Franco calls him. Franco's the one who put us in touch with Kyle. We had reached out a couple podcasts ago and asking anyone if anyone knew anyone in motocross, and all directions lead it to Kyle. So welcome, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and shout out to Franco. What a beauty. We actually have never met. We just know each other through social media and follow each other's accounts. He does filming down in Windsor. I'm up in like Sarnia area, so never met, but we talk all the time on social. So it's nice. That's the great thing about social media and connecting with different media people, and then having you guys as a platform to connect us all. So that's cool.
So do you want to talk a bit about why does Franco call you the Dirt King? Let's get into that.
I think it's because, man, I grew up doing motocross, being part of motocross. I've done every aspect of motocross, from being a professional racer to training kids to promoting events to being a mechanic to being like a driver to everything you can think of. I've done in the motocross world, and it all ended up being into the media, which I started in social media doing our racing series accounts for years. It's been 15 plus years of being like on Instagram and whatnot. And it all came down to like I enjoyed putting stuff together. I started using some guys' clips that worked for us, so video clips that they worked for us. And I was like, oh, I like editing this, but I wanted to shoot for myself. I wanted to capture myself and put my own clips together so I can see the vision of the day going through. And that's kind of what like the last 3 years got me into it, my foot in the door, started collecting gear. As we all know, that's just an addiction. And I mean, it's a positive addiction, but it's an addiction. So as I went along,
It's an
getting more
expensive
gear,
one too.
it's an expensive one. Yeah. But got into the motocross filming side of things. And actually this summer will be my first year of just focusing on filming. In the last year, I was doing mixed roles. I'd be putting on the event. I'd be worried about ticketing for the event, the marketing of the event, the social media for our own series, as well as logistics for our staff. Like we ran like a 30-person staff on these weekends. So I was doing all that, plus putting together like 15 to 30 content pieces for broadcast. We'd have a live show on Fox Sports, and then all the social media assets. I'd be putting in, man, it was like figuring out the hours, travel and stuff like that. On the weekend, it was like 70 plus hours of just like work grinding, to be able to do the content side, do the shooting, capturing, being part of that, which I was really passionate about, but also maintaining the job role that I was in, as far as being a promoter, my brother's company. So I was working with him. He was back home. I was running the events. So mix all that in together, and that's what I was doing. But this year is my first year just focusing on shooting content for a couple of the teams in Canada, motocross teams, Yamaha being one. They've been a huge supporter of my movement towards this. And then Gas is another team, and a couple other privateer riders and stuff like that. But yeah, being around motocross, and I mean, I find it, like you guys both in the hockey world, I find motocross very easy to shoot. Knowing your locations is one thing, but hockey, it's so quick. The puck's moving. You're always constantly back and forth, where you set up for a shot in motocross. You're there you get the shot. 2 minutes later, they come back around and you get that, another shot, another angle, whatever. It's very easy. You're one subject. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to follow a puck. It's just one person going through. So I find it very easy compared to hockey.
Yeah, well, you got a much bigger, it's a much bigger surface to cover. So like I imagine like, there's difficulties. They're just very different.
Yeah. So just to bring you guys up to speed on how moto works on the professional level is these guys show up on a weekend. Saturday, there's just sign in tech, get their bikes all through tech. And then Sunday's the race day. So they get 2 practice sessions. One's qualifying and one's just free practice. So for me, those morning shots are awesome. They usually usually the best shots of the day that where the sun is and everything's the dirt's good, and then the afternoon around 1 o'clock they have two more races that are 30 minutes long each. So you've got a total. These guys are on the track for an hour and a half a day. So you got a lot of time. If you're shooting for a few riders, you got a lot of time to capture good moments. Plus, in the pits, in the paddock or whatever, you're getting these B-roll shots. You're doing a bunch of that. So to make like social content for motocross, it's so easy in my books. Like I'm just like, there's so many opportunities to capture these things. You can fly a drone during the race. You can do all these different things to capture the essence of that event, and it's all about storytelling. After that, is you got the shots. Now let's tell the story.
And maybe I missed. Maybe you said it. I missed it at the beginning. But did you film anything before you started motocross, or was that like you started because of it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first. Well, this is my origin into filming and using a camera. Was the guy that worked with me, Isaiah Reed, iMoto Films. He's from the East Coast. He came to Ontario to work for our company and help us with the series on the media side. So he had his camera gear and he came out, and that was in 2019, the fall of 2019. In 2022, I think it was 22 or 23. I'm going to say 22. I'm like, hey man, can I borrow your camera? I just want to go film with my daughter. She rides horses. So took his camera, had zero idea how to set the damn thing up. Like I was so out to lunch on the settings and the white balance and like the exposure. It was brutal because he just gave it to me, and like I just assumed it was like kind of like an auto thing. I had no idea at the time. But then as I went along, I showed him the clips. He's like, "Oh, dude, I gotta help you on this. I gotta fix a couple things." So he taught me a few things, and then, man, I mean, we live in a world that you can jump on YouTube and learn absolutely everything you need to know. So I just kind of like, with Isaiah's help and YouTube, I sorted out in like the horse world, and then as soon as I think it was in the fall time. As soon as it came back to moto time, I kind of had a better grasp, and that was in 2023. So yeah, 2023 was my first year of shooting moto. And I was still doing so much work. So I would only shoot a couple sessions. Like I'd go for a couple practices, get those, but I was doing commentating on for the actual races. So I was on the mic with Ryan Gauld, the host, and I was doing that. I did that for 10 years before my passion of actually capturing the stuff came in. So I was a mixed bag of tricks. Like I said, going through the motions, I would do a couple sessions. I had to jump on the mic for the afternoon to call the races, and then, you know what I mean, edit the stuff that I had from the morning. And I just slowly, as it went along, was just more addicted to the capturing side than the commentating side. So I slowly leaned into that. And 2025 was a big year as far as me doing so much work. Like I went to the last 2 years, I went to the Motocross of Nations, which is like the Olympics of motocross. The 1 year was in England. Last year was actually in the US. Next year is going to be in France. But working with Courtney Lloyd, team manager of Team Canada, and capturing our three best riders going on the world stage was cool. And being able to do it in such a short period of time felt pretty surreal.
So your background was in broadcast basically, and then you transferred over?
Yeah, background's been everywhere. Broadcast? To be honest with you, it's just one of those things, man. Every aspect of this sport, I've had my part in and learned it. And I think it goes back to when my older brother and I started doing these race series, is just like try to learn every aspect of our duties. So our whole thing, from marketing those events all the way to taking that event down and putting it in the trailer and getting out of there. We wanted to learn everything. So we started from building tracks to, putting those tracks into indoor arenas and then promoting those events and, doing the social media marketing, building websites, everything we, as entrepreneurs, we learned. So then if somebody happened to be like, hey, we're out, like, we could take over that job and do it, or find somebody to fill that role. So we're never left with a gun to our head, like, shoot, we can't put on this event because so-and-so took off and left us. So that was our goal, to learn everything. And then, man, the media, the shooting was the last thing I really learned. And it was the thing that I was most passionate about. And I'm like, the level of appreciation when you're shooting good content, I know you guys would deal with it. It's like you get people that just enjoy watching what you've seen through your lens and comment, say that was awesome. And that level of appreciation goes so far. It kept me coming back. It's like a little bit of a drug, just like showing these athletes or whatever, this sport in that light and capturing what you see and how you see it portray and telling that story, and then people appreciating that. And that's what dreams are made out of. It's awesome.
That's cool. Well, I'm actually like, because sometimes I get DMs or comments in my YouTube videos, all that stuff, and people ask me questions, and every time it comes to like motorsports, I'm like I think I filmed once like a race, but that's it. Like I have zero experience, so I'm very curious about all the camera positioning and how you go about things. So like I guess my first question in that direction would be like, well, first of all, do you film like specifically one person, or are you filming the race as a whole? And whichever it is, like, how do you go about your positioning? Do you move around? Do you have like spots that are the key spots to hit? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, that's where my background in the sport comes in handy, is the knowing the good shots, knowing where to position yourself for a jump where these guys are going to throw a little bit of a whip, get the bike sideways, or a berm that sets up nice where it's going to be a good shot in 120 and you can just get that nice slow-mo exiting the corner. So that definitely is in my favor as far as that goes. But like, for the 2025 season, I was filming for the whole, because I was doing the series. I was telling stories, not just from one person's perspective, but the whole top riders. And like each weekend, myself and a buddy that we're working together side by side, Nick, we would come up storylines and be like, all right, we've got to go get an interview with this, or these two riders had conflicts, so we need to go back and last weekend's event and capture or pull those clips, and then create a story of that friction for TV. So we would specifically be shooting certain scenarios throughout that day and seeing how it shapes up from last weekend to this weekend. So yeah, last year and the year before was shooting as a whole. Every rider kind of was like part of the story. And obviously you're getting more of the top end, the top 10 guys, and really honed in on the top 5, you know what I mean, to tell those stories. And how motocross works is these guys get hired onto manufacturer teams. So you got Gas, KTM, Husqvarna, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki. All these brands have their own team, and riders get paid good money to go race for these teams. They mainly try to get Canadian racers, being a Canadian series, to win this championship. But last year, American won, and these teams are aggressive. And if there's no Canadian rider available to win the championship, they're going to go south of the border, grab somebody.
Yeah,
so telling those stories is key. But this year, like I said, I'm working for Gas and Yamaha solely, so I will focus more on those riders. I'm not doing anything for the series perspective, so it'll be a lot easier for me to capture just like those two teams and those riders there. So Gas I think has 3 or 4 riders. Yamaha has 3 riders, so 7 riders total I'll be capturing through the day. And there's 2 different classes, 250 and 450. So I'll be able to mix it up. But going back to your question about positioning and being in the right spot, it's to be honest, it's a learning curve for sure. And for you two guys, exceptional shooters, both of you guys are exceptional shooters. You'll be able to figure it out in a short period of time. But that first event, it'll be like trial and error. It'll be like what position, and like asking questions of riders, teams, like all that stuff. And one of the toughest things to capture is the actual start. So there's 40 guys that come off the line, off one start into the first corner. For me, when I'm setting up that shot, I'm like, either I'm trying to hire somebody that's local that can just get me a second shot of the start. So I'll be tight right where the guys are coming off. And then I'll need somebody in that first corner that just a wide angle, give me like a 24-70 shot of them coming through, and just, I usually put them on a tripod and just hit record and just leave it so they come into frame and I get that second shot, because you got 4 chances in a day. You got 250 motos, 450 motos, and the start is so key. The start is like, the energy comes from that. So you want as many angles as you can. Sometimes I'll put like GoPros in the first corner or throw the drone up and just leave it there hovering while I shoot run and gun. So there's different ways to capture it, but it's like, of all things throughout the day, the start is the absolute hardest part, and it's just trying to get as many angles and showcase that start the best you can.
Yeah.
I like how you're while you're explaining everything, it's always about the storytelling, and I feel like that's very important, especially for you. How hard is that to tell these stories of these motocross guys throughout this series?
It's difficult if the rider's having a hard time, because there's riders that come into the series and they're gung ho, they want to win the championship, but things it's racing, it's sports, things happen, and that's always tough. I find it very guys out there winning. That's so easy, It's high energy content. It's them fist pumping, champagne, all that stuff. I feel like that story is very easy. But telling a story of somebody that's really trying hard but just not getting it, those are ones that are a little bit different. And I know you guys both know that music and underlying sound design is so crucial to these storytelling, that people that wouldn't, that haven't been in the media world wouldn't really understand that. So if it's a slow mo shot that just brings the energy, or if it's the music that just slows down at the right time, that you just kind of understand the grittiness of the sport or what you're capturing. There's so many ways to tell it. But yeah, in moto, it's very easy to tell that winner story, or even a guy that's just like hustled, got a podium, was, doing his best finish. That's easy. It's the ones that they're having a bad day, but you want to showcase that they're actually working their butts off to try to be better, and it's just not coming together. That's the stories that are tough to tell. And you just got to get creative, and that's why we're in this world.
Yeah. And are you allowed to like go into the negative stuff? Like if for a story like that, where, I don't know, maybe just the bike wasn't ready or something, and then like, are you kind of allowed by your team to kind of go deep into like what went wrong, for example, or is it just trying to keep it, stick to the positive?
You on that note, there is some gray areas with motorsports, being that they're manufacturers. So say Yamaha has a bike issue, and they're like, hey, they'll like instantly like, hey, don't put anything out with that, because that's an issue that they've got to deal with, and they've got to do their PR work and all that stuff. So you definitely got to be careful with that kind of stuff. But if it's like just a guy has a couple crashes here and there, like, you kind of showcase that, and sometimes you can get some commentary. Like I know you guys would probably pull from the Montreal Canadiens feed or whatever, just to tell the story a little better. You can kind of do that and use, like I said, my buddy Ryan Gall does the commentary still, so I can pull his audio and just be like, oh, Tanner Ward have an issue, blah, blah, blah. Like you can pull that to try to showcase, like, hey, he did have his issues. He ended up fourth, but this is why. But yeah, any bike issue, usually you got to steer clear of in the motorsport world. They're like very sensitive of that, because it leaks back to bike sales, and people get like, oh, why did Yamaha DNF that? What was their problem? They're looking down their bike. Like, yeah, you got to be careful with that. But if it's just a small crash and like small incidents that happen, or even it's a big crash, I've seen guys have massive crashes, get back up, and there's a story behind that too, the grittiness of it.
Is it, because am I right to assume basically that because it's a individual sport, like usually in my experience, like individual sports, you get more access, like because it relies a lot more on sponsorship and things like that. So the riders need to be on camera, they need to show the sponsors, they need to. So do you have like easier access to interviews, to just like intimate, like I don't know, like behind the scenes type stuff?
Yeah, 100%. It's so much easier. You're there when you're hired by a team. You're there to capture everything and anything you can think of that would be useful for that brand or for that team. You're capturing. If it's interviews after the race, or just midday, like sometimes I'll do. I did some cool like vlog style ones, and I would get like the wife or girlfriend, like, hey, take my DJI Osmo, shoot some stuff with the riders getting ready, and then it's cool like content behind the scenes that like, and it's more personal too, because it's not me in there, it's their normal routine, and it's just their wife who's always there with them. So that's always fun. Or a rider that's into vlogging. There's one that I'll be working with this year, Quinn Amiot, and he vlogs on YouTube and stuff like that. So he always gives me access to his clips. So I'm like, I get a different perspective, and I enjoy doing that stuff too. And like I said, the access, being an individual sport, working for the team, for the brand, you have like unlimited time. And I find with motocross, and like you touched on there, is Individual sport, they have contracts that say they've got to post this much. It's got to be a video, this, it's got to be that. If you got to hire it out, that's on you. All these things. So these riders are obligated to post content. You see in hockey that it's like, man, these kids do not want to post. Like I have options for great content for all these junior B, junior A players, and they're just like, they don't post. They don't ever put it out there. They don't need to. So I guess with motocross, the more you're seen, take my brother for an example. He's heavy on Instagram and TikTok, posting up videos all the time, but he's making money off that. Just riding and like practicing training and then going to Supercross. He's making good money posting content. And I guess that's the individual or the motorsport world we come from is, hey, the content is king and you're going to get paid and your sponsors are going to be very happy seeing their product out there on social media, be it a bike, gear, goggles. There's so many, there's you think of every part on that motorcycle is somebody manufactures a aftermarket piece that goes on there. If it's foot pegs, if it's exhaust, it's plastic, it's the graphics that go on there, the handlebars, the tires, everything is marketable in motorsports. Where you look at hockey and these guys have to wear these skates because the team says so. They got to use this stick, these gloves. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's in the NHL, there's more brand deals and stuff that I'm not privy to, but in moto, everything is a brand deal, from the Monster Energies and the other things that they hold on the podium to, what they're wearing underneath their gear, their under chest vectors or whatever it be. It's all marketable.
And you see all these things probably a lot better in a social media clip than during a race. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So you get much better exposure.
You're getting way more exposure from these clips, like the stuff that we can shoot on our cameras than the broadcast or on the TV. You're not getting that tight shot, that slow-mo shot, seeing oh man, he's got those Oakley goggles on. Look at those new tear-offs he's got on there. Whatever it be, you're getting that, and the sponsors love it. So social media is very much a huge motorsport thing, especially in the motocross world. It's huge.
Do any riders have their own videographers following?
Yeah.
Some guys take it on their own and say, listen, I got my own guy and that's it? Yeah.
In the US they do. In Canada, it's not as big just because we're only a 3-month a year thing. In the US, they're 32 weekends a year. So, they're all year round. They have a small off season. And in the off season, that's when they're still shooting a ton of content. The big guys that you guys might be aware of is Hayden Deegan. He's been he has his own videographer since he was 8 years old. His dad was a freestyle guy, and they've done YouTube. Their YouTubes are huge, but that's just good marketing, man. That's just taking a camera and filming what you do in a day and posting on social, and then you get that following, and then that's just cash money for them. They get brand deals forever.
So should we get into gear a little bit, into equipment? What are you filming with? What are your settings in terms of frame rates and things like that?
I shoot on a Sony A7S III, which I would go with the FX3, but I'm a viewfinder shooter. I don't like the monitor. I find that I have more stability shooting through my eye, shooting up on my face with a 3-point contact. And so the A7S III is the best for me, the 4K 120. And for moto, I'm pretty much 4K 120 all day. Besides stuff in the pits, behind the scenes and stuff like that. Just for capturing moto, it's the 120 is so handy when you need it. And I'm not shooting nearly as much as I would at a hockey game. So I'm able to,
yeah, that's true.
The amount of storage I'm not worried about. So it's, like I said, there's times that I'll shoot in 24 frames per second, just mainly in the pits and anything that I'm not going to slow down, but typically 120. And obviously Rode Pro mic on there to the shotgun mic. I want to get a better one. My buddy's got a Sennheiser one that just works insane. I need to get on that train there, but that's just, it's money. It's more money. I use the Insta360 for some point of view shots. I got the Insta Go for some behind the scenes stuff. I've got the DJ Osmo, Pocket Osmo. That's great for, like I said, I'll hand it to a wife, a girlfriend, or somebody that's going to help me for the day. I'm just capture some BTS, just more day in the life kind of stuff. And it's good for vlogging too for myself. I'll At some hockey games, I'll do that. I'll vlog some stuff. I'll have a friend come out, like, hey, come to a Sting game. You vlog and do that stuff. So that camera is awesome for that. The DJI Mini Pro 4, I think it is the drone. Always getting those shots first thing in the morning, sun's coming up, or at dusk, whatever, at the track, especially. Like, the lighting is just awesome, and you can get some really epic shots. And then during practice or maybe in a moto, I'll throw that thing up just to get a couple shots from above. And usually I'm shooting at the same time, so I just toss it up, leave it in a corner, and then let it capture, and then pull it down. I'm trying to think what else I'll have. That's pretty much.
What about like
That's pretty much
lenses
it.
on your
Oh
on
yeah,
your
sorry,
main
lensing.
camera? Do
70
you
to 200, 9 times out of 10 for me.
okay?
I love that lens. It's the 2.8. Was it the Mark II?
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I
the
got that same one.
Sony. And then I have a 24 to 70 that I use a bunch. Usually I have two bodies, so I would have the 24 to 70 and then the 70 to 200. I have the 100 to 400 Sony G Master, but I hardly use that thing. I want to get the 50 to 150. That thing looks nasty. But yeah, main shooters. Sometimes, oh, sorry, gimbal in there too. Gimbal for like morning bike shots, rival shots. You get those nice, just cinematic shots. So I just use the mini though because it's easy to travel with the RS3 mini. And then I got 18 to 35 lens I use on that. So and then mics usually for any audio stuff, either Rode or DJI mics, and yeah.
How hard is it with all the dust?
The dust. It's so these races, I will give the pro nationals, it's a little bit better because they're constantly watering the track. It's very key for these racetracks to be super, like in the morning, if you got a clay track at a race, it's very muddy. So you're not dealing with dust at all. In the afternoon, you'll get a little dust, but man, you can place yourself, and especially with a 70 to 200, you don't need to be too close. Honestly, you're not dealing with, like, at a local dirt bike event, yes, you're going to deal with dust. Like, you go to just an amateur event, you're going to deal with dust. But in these pro level ones, it's not brutal. I would say more you deal with maybe rain a little bit more than dust on these events, just because the track builders and people that manage these tracks do such a good job at keeping that dust down. And as a racer, like, they can't have dust. It's like bad for racing. It's visibility, safety thing. So it's not bad. Like, you will, like, my camera does have a little bit of dust, and I'll clean it afterwards. But the rain ones, I had 2 rain events last year. It was my first time doing rain events, and I always have those, like, those Amazon, you can just buy the bags and throw them over. And honestly, they work awesome. Besides audio sucks, because I didn't leave the mic exposed. Besides the audio sucking, it was honestly the best shots I had all year. Was man, pissing down rain, and the guys are just drenched, mud everywhere. You can, like, their goggles are off, so you can see their eyes, and they're just like mud through their eyes. Like, some of the best shots I had all year was in the rain, and I would say that's more tricky than the dust, just for the fact that you're trying to keep everything covered, and you don't want, and then trying to get your hand in there to do the zoom on the 70 to 200, and yeah, there's some challenges, but it ends up being 6 shots, so I'm pumped on it.
Yeah, especially the rain at like 4K 120 when you slow it down looks cool. Just that alone is pretty amazing. So I'm assuming, yeah, with the jumps and everything and the turns, like, must be some some
yeah. No,
footage.
it is cool, and especially when they're racing like close, you get a couple guys coming through your frame. You hold a shot, and they come into your frame, and you can just see, like, the emotion of their face, because when they have no goggles, you can see their face, and just like they're just like, get me out of this. This is nuts. And yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
And I was just curious, when you said you have 2 bodies, are you doing it like photographer style, where you have one kind of on you? You've got both on you, and you're kind of switching.
Unless I have somebody, sometimes I'll have somebody with me to be additional shooter. I'll be like, hey, you take this, the 24 to 70, either, like I said, on a tripod, or just shoot in this section here and get me these shots, because we know this corner is really good. It's good passing. It's good whatever. But most of the time I want to use those. I have one of those harnesses that you can clip 2 on, but I never set it up on my cameras, because I'm always constantly going from tripod to things. So they have the ones that buckle on the bottom, and they take up the space where the tripod.
Yeah.
But I just have like a fanny pack that I put the 24 to 70, just like the smaller setup, and then I have the rig. I'll just set it on the ground, grab that one out, shoot that corner with it, grab that, put it back in my bag. So Yeah, it's just one of those. The 24-70 is just my backup. I'll get tight shots. I'll get like if it's a hairpin corner, I'll get right up on the top of the corner and shoot down on them, which is awesome. It's a very cool shot, especially with the wide angle.
You're shooting all horizontal, not vertical, or
Yeah,
you're just
well,
cropping it later?
yeah. So me being in the broadcast world, helping the series out, doing all that, I had to shoot horizontal. Which honestly, it's not a bad thing though, because when you're shooting that, say if there's a couple people battling, at least you can keyframe it like, okay, I kind of want to get this shot. This was better of this guy coming out of the corner, and the guy leading that wasn't a great shot. Then I can keyframe it just to follow him. Where you're limited when you're doing vertical. I would love to do vertical for the fact social media, but every time I do, I get pissed off myself when there's a clip and I'm like, that's a sick clip, but I can't use it for this horizontal thing I did because it's just too punched in. So yeah, I'm horizontal, with the 4K, like you're getting everything you need pixel wise. So, yeah. And then if somebody needs it for TV, then that clip is available and it's useful. And there's so many times where I'm like asked a videographer, I'm like, hey, you got that clip of that crash? And then he sends it to me and it's like vertical. And I'm just like, oh, I can't use it for TV. So it's like, that's tough. But yeah, so horizontal, I would say more than vertical. I was going that direction with hockey and stuff, but I'm just like, you know what? Shoot horizontal, you're getting more of the picture and like keyframe what you need. That's about where I'm at. What about you guys for hockey? You guys horizontal most of the time?
Horizontal.
Yeah.
Yeah, horizontal, and we'll keyframe after
Yeah.
for the vertical images because we need it for like in-game stuff,
Yep.
promos, highlights, all that stuff for broadcast. So you have no choice.
Yep. Perfect. That's
Yeah.
kind of same thing I'm on. Yep. It's just
I find filming landscape is kind of safe proofing everything. So because you never know. Like for me, for example, it's more about my YouTube videos. Like I could go out
yeah.
and film something vertical, but if I then decide that, oh yeah, that was great footage to use in one of my YouTube videos and I filmed everything vertical, I'm kind of stuck. So
Yeah.
it's just a way to make sure that you can use it for both, basically.
Yeah, it's a guarantee for sure. That's
Yeah.
I know. There's so many new media people out there and I see them on the track and stuff like that and I'm like, man, you should shoot horizontal. I mean, for the fact that you could get your stuff showcased on different platforms if you capture the right moment. I'm like, you shoot vertical, you're so limited to just doing some insta bangers and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? That's the opportunity is huge when you're shooting horizontal, in my opinion.
For most people, that's all they do. It's all
Yes.
Instagram and TikTok and stuff. So it's like, why bother? And
Yeah.
and also it makes their editing process a lot easier, which I
True.
get it. But yeah, it depends on what you're working on. Well, speaking of which, actually, I was gonna ask you because like you obviously now you've got like an A7S III and it's an amazing camera, but like, did you start straight off the bat with that, or like, and
No.
because my question ultimately is like, if someone's starting, what's the like, I guess what's the minimum kind of requirement for a camera to film motorsports? Like, do you need to film in 120, or can you start with kind of a low budget camera and still get some great shots? Like, what's for the kid that's, getting into it, like what would be like the minimum setup type of thing?
I started on the A7 III that I got off Facebook Marketplace, and the reason I was with that is because Isaiah, he was on that at the time when he first started. He was on that, and I was like, oh, I know that camera. It's a good camera, and that's how I got into Sony. I feel like Sony, to me, is comparison to like Apple. Like it's very user friendly. It's very easy to get into that platform. So I had that from Facebook Marketplace, and then I got the first thing I got was like put a lot of money to was a 70 to 200. I'm like, when I use Isaiah's, I'm like, this lens is so sick. Like I'm like, I gotta get it. It just makes everything so nice. So got that. That was my first big purchase, and then but for kids getting into it, like you can get some cheap lensing and some. You can honestly find really good deals on Facebook Marketplace, and you know what I mean. Most of the people in media take care of their stuff. It's not like we're a bunch of rugged guys that are just banging the stuff around and like not treating it right. So most of the time, or female, sorry, as well. But most of the time, you can get stuff on Facebook Marketplace for like half the price. Find some lensing on there. Everybody's always either getting out of it or upgrading stuff. So I would say local Facebook Marketplace, you can find a good entry level, couple grand will get you, you guys know, a couple grand will get you in the door and you're going to be shooting good content. And if you can shoot 60 frames per second and make that 4K, like, oh, you're laughing. Like, that's all you really need.
Yeah. No, and I agree about marketplace. Like, I think I definitely local is the keyword though. Like, I would definitely want to make that deal in person, and I
Yes.
bring my body to make sure that, you know, there's no
Yeah.
scratches or anything. But yeah, you can definitely save a few $100s at least by
Yeah.
doing that. And lenses, like we had this conversation before, like with Lens on the podcast. It's like lenses are forever. Like, especially in the Sony ecosystem where there's not,
Yeah.
like, Canon eventually moved on to RF and then it kind of changed everything. But for Sony, it's just once you have a full frame lens, technically that
Yeah.
lens can serve you for the rest of your life. So it's yeah, there's definitely some deals to be made when people want to move on from a lens that they have for 4 or 5 years. For you, it's the opportunity to buy something old that the other person's already paid for and can, you know, take a hit on. Where for you, technically, it's going to be just as good as a brand new one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, yeah, I think that the problem with it is as soon as you get into like the Facebook marketplace buying stuff, it's like, that's where I started. And then it's an addiction. And then you're buying everything under the sun. You're buying so much more stuff. So it's just a gateway drug at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to touch on, you mentioned action cams before. So how heavily are you guys like relying on the action cams too during these races? I guess like riders have them mounted to their bikes, their chests, stuff like that. How many you got going a race?
To be honest, I'm not huge on it. I usually do it in practice for some guys. So I was working with a kid that was from New Zealand last year. He rode for the Kawasaki team, and him and I would do some Insta 360 stuff. And honestly, it would just be in practice because they don't want to race with it, especially if it's mounted chest or even on helmet. Helmet's not so bad, and it depends on the model you're using. I would use more of a GoPro, like the traditional GoPro square ones. Those are fine. You don't notice them. But those Insta 360s, they're tall. They're a little bit, not
Yeah,
the
they're
easiest
long.
things to handle. Yeah. So we would do a chest mount. We did bar mount. We did a couple different things, but always in practice when they're not worried about like going fast or beating somebody or being as nimble as they can be without having that camera on. So we would get that stuff in the morning and then put it away for the day, to be honest with you. And when it comes to race time, and if you're racing and you have one of those, and I get footage from guys that do wear like the GoPros or the Insta 360s or the DJI, whatever it be. And if they get a bad start, those things on the top, they're done. They don't have like tear off system for goggles, so you got the clear tears, they can tear them off. But for those, they're dust, and unless you're wiping them as you race, you're getting like a couple shots and then just blasted with sand or dirt, and they're done for the moto. So it really it would be good in like street sports like MotoGP and like F1, like you got shot before, or like any car racing. They're great because you're not dealing with the dirt. But motocross, man, they're great until they're not. If you're getting the whole shot, you're leading the way. Awesome. If you're mid pack, they're crap. So that's where you know what I mean. It loses out the luster of having those things is just trying to keep them clean.
And you said you use a drone sometimes. Like, what's
Yeah.
do they just let you, or is it like a complicated process to be about to use a drone at an event like this?
So
it usually is.
it is, yes. So we, my brother, and I ran the series. So I had I had some abilities to do this. And to be honest with you, a funny story is so we have a drone for the live broadcast, and we have a great pilot, Austin Watling. He's actually buddy, lives about 10 minutes from me. He's so good. He does a lot of stuff in our community for like plants and different stuff, like really talented with these drones. So he was our drone guy, but there was one event in Ottawa. He had a last minute family issue come up, and he's like, oh, I can't make it. And I'm like, oh, it sucks, because we got used to having the drone. This was like round 5 in 2024. So like our consumers were loving the drone. They're like, this drone coverage is awesome for the broadcast. It adds an element. You can see lines. You can see these guys. You know what I mean? You're getting such a wide angle of this battle of these two guys. So I'm like, I had, at that point, I had my drone for like a couple weeks of flying a drone, this the mini. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll take a run at this and try this out. So I'm not gonna lie, doing a it was adrenaline rush doing the live broadcast, but I had some absolute sketchy moments where this track was probably one of the tougher ones because it had sections of trees and they would go between the trees. So at those moments, I had to go way up and then come back down and try to capture them. And these bikes are fast, so this drone's not really keeping up. So you got to be thinking ahead of where that rider's going to go, how fast they're going to go. So there was moments where I'd come down after being high of going over the woods, and one of my guys on the track said, "You just missed one of the riders." I'm like, "Thank God I didn't hit anybody." I'm like, that was not a good idea throwing me a brand new to drone and broadcast. But hey, it made some good clips though.
Yeah, it's always scary using a drone, especially around people. You're always afraid to clip somebody or clip, especially with trees, clip a branch and that. You know, when I first got mine, I clipped a branch and thank God it fell into a snowbank and everything was fine because I'm like, I didn't take the DJI insurance right away.
Oh yeah.
So I made sure I added that. I still had a little bit of window left on my, when you buy it, you have like a 72-hour window. So I added it right away after my first crash.
Hey, I will give a shout out to DJI. I busted, so during travel, my Mini, I try to keep it like safe when it travels, but one of the I want to say landing gears, whatever it is, like little L-shaped thing, busted. So I glued it with super glue and it worked. It was working and it broke again. Like shit, glued it for like the third time I did this. It finally the glue got in the gear and it locked solid so it wouldn't fly. So I'm like, my buddy was like, "Hey, hit up DJI. They have great customer service for $80." That's everything in $80, shipped back to them, shipped back to me. 6 days later, a brand new drone. They were going to fix it, but this like brand new drone came to me. I'm like, unreal. So,
Nice.
shout out to them. And they sent me a hat for just being like customer. There's like DJI hat and a brand new drone. And it was $80. I'm like, thank you. That's unreal. You know what I mean? I can be a little bit looser with these things, but another story, another story with the drones. Cause I'm like, anybody that's flown them or got into it's been as of late, you have times like sketchy times, of course, the hidden trees. So I was at one of our races in the summer and I'm like, okay, I got to get some shots and I forgot mine at home. So I'm like, I'll use the broadcast one. And I'm just going to get some shots for the broadcast of like opening shots, when they're coming in and it's just like a nice cinematic shot. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. There's like the Gopher Dune sign. I'm like, I'm going to pull back from this. So as I came in, I'm like, oh, I love that shot, but I'm going to pull. So when I pulled, I must have got off axis just a little bit and I'm zipping back. Boom, lights out. The freaking thing's done. And I'm like, oh no, I hit a tree. I'm like panicked because I'm like, this is our only drone for broadcast. And this is the morning of the race. I'm like, I'm going to be in so much shit. There's no way I'm going to get another drone in this time. I ran over and miraculously nothing damaged and it smoked this tree. And I'm like, thank God. So all good. I didn't even tell anybody. My daughter was with me. I'm like, we're not telling a single soul about this. We're done. We put it back in its little case and there we go.
See, I'm much more like you guys are flying low. Like I'm
Yeah.
so scared of all this that I haven't flown a drone in forever, but I would be very high. I had the opposite problem where I kind of lose eyesight and it'll be like, oh, I don't know where it is, and then it becomes another type of stress. But yeah, you guys are much more courageous than I am.
Yeah, no, it's this Austin, my buddy Austin, he is unreal. He captures some cool stuff, and I always tell him like, hey, make sure you're recording because I'm like his clips are so good, and we've had some viral ones of big crashes like from above, and these guys are swapping, crashing, and throw it up on social, and it just goes viral. So it's cool to have a different aspect, right? Because
Yeah.
we're all eye level watching this stuff, shooting this stuff, and then having it from above. Especially motocross, I feel like it's cool. It'd be great. I had him in one of my senior hockey games I did, and like early on, he did some drone stuff early on before the other coach from the other team's like, "Hey, there's a drone in here," so we had to rip it down. But it was some cool shots of the hockey from above too. It's something you don't usually see.
Well, speaking of camera angles, like, are there any kind of angles that you feel are kind of specific to either motocross or motorsports? Like, is there like a technique that you find is you kind of develop like specifically for that?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest with me, for me, I'm looking more at a cinematic look for it, but then mixed with the high energy. So a slow shutter speed with some crowd and some banners and stuff like that's always a great shot. But then also I'm shooting behind some people's heads and you got that in the foreground and you can just see them peek over there in focus. The people in the foreground are obviously blurred out and it's like You let them come through the frame. That's a cool shot. I mean, you just got to get creative. And I think that's what separates good from great is the ability to get creative. And especially in an environment where in moto, there's probably like 10 to 15 people shooting content at one race, and like to try to stand out and be the guy that they want to hire. You definitely have to find creative angles. I think that that not only catch the eye of a consumer or a new consumer or even somebody that's in the sport, but also that captures the moment appropriately, right? And then we talk about angles being high, being low. I think, yeah, honestly, just in the day when you're at the race, it's trial and error, and it's putting yourself in position, obviously in a safe position, because I've seen bikes come flying off the track. I've seen some things happen. It's scary. I had a buddy almost get hit in Supercross, and he was inches from getting smoked by a bike. So these things happen, and you've got to be in a safe spot, but also capture something that I mean, that means something, and it really stands out. So yeah, it's trial and error. I don't really have I know the tracks I go to, and I kind of have the marquee shots. And then I'm like, all right, let's think outside the box. And then I'll find one. I'm like, oh my God, this shot. And then I'll find myself sitting there for like 2 or 3 laps. I'm like, I got to move. I got to keep
Yeah.
going, because I'm like, this shot's, I'm already got this shot. We're good.
Yeah, well, it goes
But
back to like earlier when you were saying it's much easier than hockey, for example. Like for that reason, I think it's not, in the sense that, like, yeah, you get the same shots, you know where they're going, and it's easy to frame it safe in a way.
yeah.
But then because it's very repetitive, like how do you
Mhm.
make it interesting?
Yes.
So then that's when the creativity comes into play, and then you have to find ways to make it look different and make it look like, more fun than the first shot and different than the
Yeah.
first shot, and more like, so yeah, there is a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah. And honestly, you'll sometimes commit. There's tracks out there. This is where it gets difficult. So there's tracks out there that you have to commit positioning to that race almost to get like some shots. You were stuck in a position for a little while to be able to get that shot. You know it's going to be a good
Mm-hmm.
shot, but like you're committed because just the track and getting to that position is a chore, or like you can't cross at certain areas. So you go to that position, you get that shot. Now you're backtracking to get back into another position where you're like, these anywhere from this point to that point aren't great shots. So we need to get back to where we can get good shots. So you commit maybe 10 minutes of that race in a position that you're like, oh, okay, I got 2 really good shots here, but now I got to backtrack. And by the time you backtrack, you're halfway through the moto, and then you limit yourself on how many more shots you can get that you like. So
Yeah.
definitely planning is key, and knowing the sport. That's where I'm saying it's easy, because I know the sport really well, and I
Yeah.
know what looks good. As far as a racer standpoint, team standpoint, and a media standpoint. So from those 3 perspectives, I kind of know the positioning and the shots that do well, that look good. For somebody like, I'd love to see you guys. I actually brought last year's Go for Dunes. I brought about 10 or more media people from like the hockey world or normal traditional sports world to come out. And I had a little contest within our group of like who can put the best photos, best edit together. And it was crazy to see. The biggest thing I noticed is they don't have like they don't pull from like the best riders. They're not going like, oh, the top rider, I'm going to get shots from them. They don't care. Like when they're outside coming in, everybody is a subject to you, and everybody is
Yeah.
a potential of a shot. So opportunity is bigger, but it's cool to see different creators find angles and find things that I would never even thought of, and they're thinking of these things. So it's awesome to see, and then it kind of sparks interest in me. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do that stuff too as well, like and showcase that, because these guys are brand new, never shot it before, came into a track that's honestly one of the best tracks to shoot at. Go for Dunes. It's all sand, so you're getting that sand spray behind the bike. You're getting the roost, like everything just looks really clean. To have 10 plus media guys that are, like I said, into traditional sports come into the motorsport world and showcase what they can shoot was very cool to see. And honestly, I'd like to see it more. I'd like to see more creators that don't do motocross do it, because they capture the event completely different than I would. I tell the story like from a rider's and team's perspective of like what they want to see. These guys are capturing it in a fan's perspective almost, and it's like
Yeah.
capturing these. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but like I was stoked
No,
to
it makes
see the
sense.
content that came. Yeah.
It's a good way too to get extra footage.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry that race. You get all this footage from all these different angles. You're like,
Yeah.
day off.
Day off. Yeah, just walk around and hang out. Yeah.
So listen, what's that workflow like after the race? Your turnaround time, the pressure, how fast you got to get stuff out there, and especially, obviously, the broadcast stuff. Like, are you broadcasting live, or is it a broadcast for later on that you kind of have time to edit?
No, it's a live broadcast, so that helps too, because like if I'm looking for sound bites, it's already up on Ride TV, and I can go grab some sound bites from the announcers. But my workflow, the event would end at the last race done at 6, I think, maybe 5, either or. And there's podiums, do that. If the team won, usually go back to the paddock, get some celebration in the pits, talk to them, do some interviews if I need to. And then I go right back to the hotel. I'm probably much like any media guy that's just like has all this awesome footage, and like I can't sleep until I look at it and organize it and maybe make a little one clipper to throw up on Instagram. So I'll go back and man, sometimes I won't go to bed till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. just editing and just loving it and just enjoying it, because I think at that point it's like it's not a job. It's just like it's a new shiny toy that I get to go play with and figure out and how to tell this story of this event. And time, like you guys know, time is money, and getting that product out there to the viewers is key. You guys are in some big operations that they want their stuff quick, so I know you guys understand it. So my process is I'll go back to the hotel, or if I'm staying at the track, to the motorhome, and sort every practice. Usually I'm sorting during the day. When I have any break, I'm trying to sort so I'm ahead of it. And I use on my Mac, I use color coding. So I use the little tags that are colored. So if it's for motocross, it'll be like red for gas, blue for Yamaha. And then I use purple, gray, green for different stuff. If it's a corner shot, if it's a B-roll shot, if it's whatever, then it makes my editing process really quick, because I'll be like, okay, there was a great shot from practice. Yamaha, boom, there's a blue one, and a corner shot, boom. I needed that shot. So it's like easy to go back on it later. Like I was just actually sorting some clips this morning from motocross last year, and it was like so easy to find a clip of a rider because it was like color coded and ready to go. So in my head it's easy, but if I handed that footage over to somebody, I'd have to give them like a little legend, like here's your color codes, and can figure it out from there. But I'm not sure
So
what
the color
you guys do. You
codes
guys
are done in the browser, not just like in the editing software.
Yeah, in the browser. Sorry, in the
Okay.
browser. That's where I'm doing it all. And in the editing process, I'm dragging it in there. Do you guys color code in Premiere or whatever software you use?
I'll color code in Premiere. While
Oh,
I'm
you
doing
will,
it.
eh?
Same.
That's smart.
Same. Not so much
Yeah.
in the browser, but definitely in Premiere. Like I'll have, like for YouTube, for example, my talking head stuff will be in
Yep.
one color, my visuals another.
I need to get more into that. I'm always in my browser doing that, and then I pull in, and then I have it in just bins. I'll put them in bins, but I don't color code them. I need to color code them. That's actually really smart. And
The browser is faster though, because you can view them right away on your desktop without opening the software, without having to import. So you are saving a step right away. And since your speed, you're just dragging what you need into your project as you go, basically, right?
Yeah, that's mainly my workflow is drag them in, and then just the sequence, make the sequence, and go from there. But I try to keep as clean as possible in Premiere. Just to go back on stuff is key, and just having those moments. So I'll have a race and then the rider name, and then go from those folders down. But color coding, I think, helps in all areas, and I definitely want to implicate that in 2026 as far as using it in Premiere.
You make folders for each race and all that. So when you bring in Premiere, you're ready to go.
It's
so
quick,
your main workflow is all in the browser, basically.
Yeah, and honestly, if I do an event usually the next morning, I'll just do it. Like right now I'm in front of my desktop, but like usually the next morning I'll just grab my laptop and the SSD, throw it in there, and have a coffee in bed and just sort clips. You know what I mean? I left it to the next, I got to do a Sting game right now, and I mean I just like sit in bed, got the TV on, just chilling, sorting clips and marking them down, and it just kind of gives. Especially in this world, you guys know you're sitting at one spot a lot of the time. It's nice to kind of switch it up, and being able to move around. Like I'll do it at airports and stuff like that. I used to be heavy before I got into media. I used to be heavy on like downloading Netflix shows on my iPad. But then as soon as I got into media, I was like, flip the laptop open. I'm editing, I'm sorting, I'm doing whatever. I'm like, it changed everything. But I tell you, doing that makes those flights go by so quick. I'm like, I stay busy the whole time. I'm thinking of stuff. I'm writing stuff down, and
Uh,
just having that workflow is so nice. Like I feel like both you guys would understand this. Like anytime that you have like you're like, oh, I got a little bit of time here, you're jumping on the computer, like doing a little here and there, and just like always thinking like, what can I get done? What can I check off? I think that's just being an entrepreneur, being a
yeah.
media person, whatever it is. You're always just full steam ahead.
It's never
No.
ending,
It's
never
never
ending.
ending. It's never ending.
My only issue, like at the airport, it's fine, but on the plane, like I'm always jealous of it. People are small enough that they can actually be on the laptop, like because I'm too big, basically, it just doesn't fit. So, I'm like, yeah, I'm a bit jealous of people who can. Or maybe I should get an iPad. Actually, maybe that's
Yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah, I know that I've been on some planes that are freaking cramped, man. I've been on some ones, but I'll just get those elbows in, get those little T-Rex arms going. Yeah,
And do
but
you rename the files, the original files? Do you like rename them, or you keep is you just going with
I've
colors?
started doing that just recently, just to help me with certain things on hockey. But man, do you guys do that? Because I don't. I color code it, and that's like my brain goes that way. But I'm starting to think that I want to like start naming these things.
Well, I think like when I was working with Lens at the Canadians, we used to do it, but like it was
Hmm.
more of a knowing who scored and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
number of the game, all that stuff. But for my personal stuff, I tend not to. I haven't in years, but I do like try to do like subfolders so that I know
yeah.
this is all the, like I said, the talking head. This is the basketball
Mhm.
game I shot. This is, and so that way it's more like folders, so I know okay in there is all that type of stuff, and when I open it at Premiere, it's for events like if there's a nice like really nice shot, I'll do the thing where my next clip I'll film the floor or my hand in front of the lens. So
Yeah,
like I
capping it.
have tricks like that to like easily identify like and go for what I'm after, but I don't really spend the time like clip by clip like
Hmm.
renaming and stuff. But I do have like a in camera like my all my clips I identified like it's the name of the camera and then the date.
Hmm.
So it's easy to like if I'm looking for something old to like, oh yeah, that was around that date, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be easy to find
yeah.
from that reason. And if there were several cameras, it's easy to see which one it was. So I don't struggle too much like finding stuff in my archives, but yeah, there is a system. I don't just like
Yeah,
throw everything on an on
yeah.
an
Uh,
SSD drive.
well, you guys working for Montreal, and there's got to be multiple shooters there. That would be you guys would have to label those because then another shooter comes in like, hey, I need a goal, so and so. Like it's easy to find, right?
Well, what they do is they have so say the broadcast feed is through the EVS, so everything is clipped with a name. So if Nick Suzuki scores, it
Yep.
says like Suzuki second period, the time, the
Yep.
game. You have all that.
That's amazing.
For the shooters and that, yeah, they kind of manage it differently with their
Yep.
cards depending on who's shooting. But color coding is the easiest way. You have a special color for goals and
Yep.
stuff like that, and then you just name the clip itself, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. No.
Because
That's
they're filming so much stuff during the game. They usually only have one extra shooter during the game.
okay.
So he's basically just trying to get goals and ISO shots of stuff that
Yeah.
they could use later on for highlights anyway.
Yeah, that's unreal. And honestly, the Bell Center, what a sick spot to shoot. That's probably the most electric crowd in the NHL. I would have to say, like it's every time I've watched a game there, especially in playoffs, oh, that crowd is nuts. So I mean, that's a big thing for me. In the hockey world, I love energy from a crowd and seeing that. I think that just feeds your energy as a media person, and
Mm.
it keeps you coming back for sure.
Oh, there's games where my ears are ringing after the games because I'm right against the glass behind the
Yeah.
net, so I have people banging the whole time and screaming and oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's you're trying to do your job, but you're trying to let the people around you enjoy
Yeah.
it, but they distract you a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, those French fans. They man, it goes into motocross too. I will say this: Deschambault is a race. It's just outside of Quebec, and we go to Saint Joly as well, which is just
Oh, okay,
outside of Montreal, and which you guys will have to come to this year. We'll link up.
okay.
But yes, Deschambault, the fans are nuts there, and they just come out and like and they're everywhere. They're like coming out of the trees. They're coming like off the cliffs. They're just waving their shirts in the air. They're going nuts. And especially for the French riders, they go bananas. They're Kevin Benoit. And before him, it was JSR, and these fans go bananas for their French riders. And I love it. I'm all for it. I'm like that. That to me is the pinnacle. Is when the fans buy in that much. We go to Ontario, we go to BC, we go to Alberta, and there is zero of that, right? They obviously there's fans that like to see the riders, but they're not at the side of the track just like they feel invested in that rider, and they're like I've got shots of guys just waving their shirt. Come on, you gotta get them. Like I love that energy, and I don't know why, but Quebec is got to be number one in the world for that kind of energy. I mean, I know Europe is really good with hockey and stuff like that, but like, man, for North America, for sure, Quebec has got that licked.
Yeah, no, I like. Well, I agree, but like, I also think like, yeah, in like I lived in Australia for a while, and like over there, it was interesting to see how people get like the way they would talk about sports was like it was never like, oh, the team was, you know, the team sucked or they did this. It was like, we sucked. We did this. We did that. Like there was a lot of like everybody spoke as if they were part of the team, which to me sounded a bit crazy. But like, yeah, it's the culture. Like sports is very different, like culturally from one place to another, and it's very interesting to see like the differences because we're so used to our way. Like for me, like the Bell Center is where I'm used to watch hockey, so like I don't. Like it's fun, but I assume that every arena is the same. Like I don't really until you go somewhere else, and then you're like, oh yeah, it is different.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiled with that crowd actually. Yeah, I mean they did a 4-minute wave the other day, you know, in the third period, and just going around, and the game's still going, and you catch players looking up. Watching them, like, what's going on, man? You know, but sometimes we get a little too carried away too. Like we get up fast in the game and we start singing "Ole Ole," and we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot a bit. So there's pros and cons, and we love our team when we win, but when we lose, you swear they're not the same fans. So it's really it's really love and hate.
I love the passion though. It's all it is. It's passion for the sport, passion for the team, and you think about the Montreal Canadiens and how like that heritage that is like it's. You know, built into their DNA. When they're born in Montreal, they are a Habs fan through and through, and that's gone on from generations since it started, right? Like what, 1917 is it?
Well, listen, Kyle. Thank you so much for opening us up to the motocross world. A lot of stuff we didn't know, a lot of stuff we know now. We'll definitely hit you up though for that Saint Julie event. I'd love to come check it out and maybe shoot. I'll bring my camera. You will bring his, and we'll get some shots, and maybe you can kind of guide us in the motocross world.
100%. The Saint Julie is a good one to shoot, and then Deschambault up in Quebec is a really good one to shoot. Those two, I would say Deschambault a little bit better than Saint Julie just for it's like a sand mix, so the sand spray shots. I always love those, and either or, let's link up the three of us, and I'll show you the ropes there, and I'll get you guys going. And man, you guys are gonna have a blast. It's always fun. Jumping into a different world and seeing what other creators come up with, but also for yourselves, like just learning something new and just having fun capturing different moments. Like always, like any new sport or event that I do, I always overshoot. I always shoot way too much content because I'm just like all like buzzed up, ready to go. I'm like, this is sick. Like I love this. And then, you end up going like 400, 500 shots. You're like, damn, I have way too much stuff here, but it's all good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
That's it for this episode of Game Day Glare.